Well, good morning, our beloveds. Time is ticking away, as many of you know, and it feels like it is speeding up for many of you when it really isn't, but it is, because technically there is no time. It is only your perception, because all that has ever existed is the point or the moment of now. How do you find the now to move to the next now, right? It just merely is a sequencing of moments. Yet, when things are moving rapidly, it's because there's a lot of change. When you are bored in what you are doing, time appears to drag on because there is nothing that is of any interest. Having said that, when you have an accident of sorts, right? When you are in a really tumultuous time where there's a lot of fear and concern about death, those moments will actually also slow down. And yet you will remember it with great detail, even though it happened 20 years ago. So how is it that your mind can manipulate the perception of time? Time is elusive, and the conveyor belt upon which you run is getting much, much faster. We spoke about technology and how it is increasing the rate at which certain things can be communicated or can be completed. It simply is, however, the building of a home as a whole takes about the same amount of time because the technology does not really change that. Now, granted, there are advances in technology that allow you to manipulate how long it takes to build a home because there are greater efficiencies. But if you had had those technologies available 50 or 100 years ago, the time question would not come into play because it is the advancement of building formats or input-output that has changed this process. So why does this matter? So if your perception of time on vacation differs because you are in a different space, you are there to hopefully somewhat relax, your interpretation specifically within the first few days of your vacation when the whole time is still looming ahead of you, you find the ability to relax into the process and not the need to rush through it quite as rapidly. Yet when you're in the day-to-day aspects of your lives, you rush and you're not really present. When you make breakfast, assuming you ate breakfast in the morning, are you present and paying attention to each nuance? Or are you on autopilot? When you shower, do you luxuriously soap up your body, setting the intention to wash away all of your worries from yesteryear or yesterday as you rinse off the soap? Or do you not even remember the 5 minutes that you spent in the shower because your mind was already elsewhere, planning the activities and the to-do list for the day? Do you all realize that you rarely are in the now because you either worry about the past, you think about the future, or you regret the choices that you have made, thereby never really being present within the moment of the now? Even our another has gotten back into being worried and being busy instead of just being much of the time, because her worries are beginning to consume her a little bit more. Not every day, but just certain ones here and there. And they distract her and dislocate her from the work that we have done with her and on her and through her. It's not good and it's not bad. It merely means that you are on the same place in the cycle of life where the lessons that you have integrated at another time are here to revisit you. How much have you really learned? How much have you really integrated? And you don't know unless you try again. If you say, I know how to ride a bicycle, but you haven't done it in 20 years, but you love to brag about how you were the best bicycle rider ever. Well, when we give you a bicycle and we ask you to ride down that steep hill, you'll realize, I don't know if I remember this accurately. Maybe I wasn't as good as I thought I was. Maybe it's just my memory, or maybe my body has gotten rusty. I'm kind of wobbly. Well, when those moments come up, it is there just to re-entrain your brain and your body into what does it feel like to be riding a bicycle at this stage and age of my life. I'm not 12, I'm not 20. If you are a ski racer, it's the same thing. When you ski race at the age of 70, it's very different than when you're 15, 20, 25, or 30. And it's not good nor bad. It just is. So relax into this process and allow us to remind you what the Hitler energy felt like. When it hit the first time in that particular form, it was regional. It was regional, and many of your countries stood up against fascism and said, we do not like the ideology of this restrictive way of governing people. And yet, many of you are embracing it these days because you feel like this level of control is important somehow to bring back the order. So for those of you who support more of the right-leaning ideologies, recognize that you are entrapped as much as Hitler's people were entrapped. You can't see the forest for the trees, and it is okay. You will learn through this experience. Humbly might we predict, but nonetheless, you are collectively going through this because many have wondered, how could Hitler ever have come into power when his ideology was so far removed from humanity and compassion for all expressions of life? And here you are. You can now watch it play out lifetime in your lifetime. And for many of you, you can't even see it, and that is okay. It is here to teach how humanity works through processes, and how many of you still prefer the dictatorial, regulatory process of making others do what they don't want to do. And fascism is not only on the right side, as many of you know, because it is a cycle. If you go to the left side of the spectrum, it's a circle and it just loops around. So anything that completely controls humanity and its choices. Now, this does not speak to regulations dealing with the balance of nature. So in the olden days, when you lived in communal settings, people shared their resources. They shared their abundance to help to manage the times of lack. And that is what taxes represent. And it is a good thing. It is forced by the government, yes, and it is definitely misallocated, but it is still something that you have principally agreed to because you are one. It's just how it's done. And many of you really believe the pull yourself up by the bootstraps mentality, because if you had to do it, why shouldn't newcomers? Well, maybe you could say, I survived that, but I wouldn't want that for others because I want them to have a better experience, which is based on unconditional love. Then there are those of you who are on the right side who hate the corporate handouts to the people, and yet you are on Medicaid or food stamps or WIC or other lefty-leaning policies. So get your ideology aligned. If you don't believe in those corporate handouts to individuals who are struggling, then stop taking them. If you ideologically do not believe in them, then don't accept them. Then really do pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. Don't be a hypocrite. So it's complicated these days, and you guys are truly in a tornado, a hurricane, an earthquake, a tidal wave, a volcanic eruption, an asteroid invasion, and just complete disharmony from every angle that it could come from. But it is here to shake the snow globe, to shake loose that which needs to be removed, and to allow it to all resettle. You all are really beginning to realize what contrast feels like. Not bad stuff, contrast. Because in each of your lives, we are bringing you exactly the contrast that you individually and collectively need to make it through the next eye of the needle. And it is working, it is coming along, but many of you are getting snarky and snide and resentful and angry and hypocritical, if we might be so direct, our another included. But she sees her hypocrisy a little bit sooner these days and says, okay, so which is it? And she tries to figure it out. Hypocrisy is not a bad thing. It's just merely a point of inconsistencies in your belief systems. And when the hypocrisy comes up and you notice it or somebody else points it out, instead of getting defensive, just say, why is this? And be curious, because everything is here to teach you, not to judge you. And that's the piece that most of you don't understand yet, because you have been judged by humanity, by your parents, by your family members, by your friends, by your coworkers, by your bosses, and just by the media at large. And it feels like when you're judged that somebody is telling you that you're wrong. And it feels terrible and you get defensive. But maybe you can see it as a point of contrast just to help you to evolve and to grow. And that is the point of moving from the Piscean to the Aquarian age, to help you all to have more ability to reflect on who you are and where you're not optimally designed right now. You can change much within your body and your belief system and in your construct by just simply changing your core belief system. And if you move from a place of we are all fucked to we are all evolving, that will help, because it puts it out there that you all are capable of evolving into a higher partnered species. And you also see life differently. Instead of being in the victim mindset, you say, okay, I have an opportunity to grow right now into a more evolved being. What will that look like? And then you just do it. Be curious, and enough of you are actually stepping forward such that it matters. But beginning with yourself is the point of reflection. Stop judging others. Stop laughing at others, and maybe just laugh with them from a place of compassion and gratitude, meaning that if that happened to you, you too would laugh at it. Laughing at somebody is unkind and mean-spirited. Laughing with somebody is enveloping them in your arms and saying, I love you so much. Oh my goodness, what a silly thing that has just occurred. It is very, very different. It's not putting somebody down. It's just laughing at how life plays out sometimes, but not from a critical or judgmental or spiteful perspective. If you see everybody around you as a different aspect of yourself who is trying so desperately to grow or to resist growing, you will have greater compassion. When you look in the eyes of another human or even another being, and you see that essence look back at you, know that that is an aspect of you, even if it is a demon-filled being. There is only one creator, and the creator created everything. And while there is light and dark, good and bad, happy and sad, it's all contrast. When you look at those beings who are struggling the most, know that they are just a different version or different incarnation from who you are. And then you can be gentle and kind because they are doing the best just as you are. Allow them grace and gratitude to learn their lessons as you want the grace and gratitude to be allowed to learn your lessons. It matters. The more you can let go of the reins on what to do with others and focus only on self from a loving space, you will find the world around you orders that much quicker. And this goes back to your perception of time where we began. Focus on self, on becoming love, and releasing your constructs of anything that doesn't feel good right now. So, as Abraham Hicks says, if it feels good, do more of it. And if it feels bad, do less of it. Allow that to be the simple guide or guidance or guiding ideology to help you to navigate these difficult times. You all are one, and you will all return to one, whether you believe it or not. Your belief system doesn't change that fact. But if you can see others as the most loving expression of who they can be right now, because of their own inner trauma, trials, and tribulations, then you can graciously hold space for them as they figure it out, instead of heaping judgment on them for not being good enough based on what you believe it should look like. Focus on the log in your own eye rather than the splinter in someone else's eye. That is where humanity is today. In becoming one, you must learn to love one another by learning to love self and see self as you really truly are. And it's just an expression of the cosmic energy this particular point and time in humanity's evolutionary process. You are love. You just don't remember it yet. It has been hidden from you deep within, covered by layers and layers of judgments and messages that you are not good enough in some manner or form. And it's time to pull off those layers of inconsistent, unloving, unhealthy constructs or belief systems. And we are bringing more and more people to the table to vibrate higher and higher so that each of you will be reordered accordingly on the planetary placement. You will all be vibrated to where you are meant to be as you move into this new and profound evolutionary aspect of humanity's growth to becoming one again. It is there, it is there, it is there. Just let go and surrender a bit more and allow us in. Ask us in every day. Show me what it is that you would like for me to do today in order to become my best version of myself. Show me how it is that I can heal those broken and wounded parts of myself. Or just simply say, show me how to be loved today. How to be love, give love, and receive love. And so it is. Namaste.